Hello and welcome back to Conquest Creations. In this battle report, we've got my Dwarven Alliance going up against the Dark Powers of Dol Guldur. We're going to be playing in the Kingdom of Durak deep board. It's always fun to show off this terrain.
G'day team, Geordie here with the Two Towers podcast. I'm bringing a really cool list. It's a Dark Powers of Dol Guldur list. This features in episode 3 of the Two Towers podcast. So it's got the Witch King of Dol Guldur and 7 Castellans of Dol Guldur. Fight 5, Strength 5, 12 Fate, don't worry about it. And I've got Fimble the Hunter as a little cheeky extra fight and striker. And then just a smattering of Gundabads and some Wargs and Spiders for object control.
Today, I'm going to be playing a Yellow Alliance Dwarf army. I've got Thrain leading some Grimhammers and young Dwalin from the army of Thrall list. And then I've got a Dwarf King, a Shield Bearer, and a smattering of Dwarves from the Khazad-dûm list. In my army, I've got a couple really cool courage synergies. Firstly, the Shield Bearer has a special rule that all dwarves within 12 inches of him can re-roll any courage tests. And then, Thrain has a battlefield-wide standfast that affects all dwarves and dwarven heroes. So, despite them being different army lists, they still get these synergies. The scenario that we're playing today is Fog of War. At the start of the game, you secretly note down one of your heroes to keep alive, one of the enemy heroes to kill, one of the terrain pieces on the enemy side of the board to capture, and if you achieve those things at the end of the game, you'll score points. You also score points for breaking the enemy.
Alright, so for Fog of War, it's interesting. I've got to kill one of Jacob's. I'm actually going to go for the King, even though he's fight 6, because I want to turn off Bodyguard. And then lastly, buildings. I'm just going to go for the foremost building. I've noticed that it's got a very nice perch for my Spider. So he'll hopefully sit up there and score me the 3.
In this game, we're playing Fog of War, and I've chosen my King as my character to protect. I chose Fimble as Geordie's character to kill because he seems the squishiest. And finally, I chose the Well House as the terrain piece that I need to capture. Let's get into this game. There's a lot of scary spirits, but I reckon I can take them down. And with that, the board is set and the pieces are ready to begin moving. As you can see, we've started with 24 inches between each other, so the first couple turns are going to be about closing that distance. And that takes us straight into turn 1. It went to my priority, which early in the game here doesn't matter too much. I'm just moving my archers forward as well as the rest of the army. Now these archers can move turn 1 because they only have an 18-inch range, so they're not going to be able to hit anyone. And there's points if I capture the terrain piece on Geordie's side of the board, so there's no opportunity for me just to sit back, because if I do, I'm already going to be conceding points. So everyone's got to run forwards. And unsurprisingly, Geordie's movement is the exact counter to mine, where he is also running forwards with everything. Now, his army is a lot faster than mine because he's got several wargs as well as a spider. And we're going to be moving into the Great Hall. This terrain was designed with playability in mind, and it's always so much fun to take off the levels and get our models in there and ready to fight against each other. Now, a big part of Geordie's armies is his Castellans of Dol Guldur. They come in with Fight 5 and 2 Strength 5 attacks, so they're super good at hitting hard, and they've got 12 will points that they can use as fate points, which makes them really durable. This is the board at the end of turn 1 movement. As you can see, we've both just pushed forwards, and that's going to take us into turn 2, where priority once again went to my dwarves. Now I'm moving my Shield Bearer and my King up together because the Shield Bearer can get free heroic combats if the King's in combat nearby him, which is a great ability that I'll be able to utilize here. And on the other side, Thrain, who has a lot of the hitting power in my army, is just pushing up. And then on the top flank, young Dwalin, who also hits really hard, is entering the Great Hall of Durak deep, ready to kick out any of these evil spirits that come in after him. And in Geordie's move, he's just pushing all of his guys up, climbing up some of the cliffs over on that side so that he can get towards me quicker.
So Fimble is going in a very precise location because we're out of Thrain's range and we're out of the Shield Bearer's range.
So those dice are signifying 5 inches away from my heroes. Good play to stay safe there. I'm just going to quickly interrupt to tell you about this terrain that we're playing on. It's the Kingdom of Durak Deep, and it's Conquest Creations' newest product line. We've designed this with gaming in mind. Everything's been designed to enhance the gaming experience. It's a line of STL terrain that you can 3D print yourself at home. The Kickstarter is live now, and we've already unlocked a bunch of stretch goals, and it's looking like we're going to need to add even more. By supporting the Kickstarter, you're supporting the channel and allowing us to make more battle reports just like this one. Alright, let's get back to the battle. And here we are at the end of turn 2 movement. We both have soldiers in the Great Hall and our lines are closing in on each other. Importantly, Geordie does have 2 wargs out here, which I reckon are going to be going for his terrain piece in my backfield. And this takes us into turn 3, where the lines have clashed. So Geordie's first Castellan has charged into my king, and the Witch King of Dol Guldur, represented by Geordie's awesome alternative model, has also managed to charge in. And they're just building a line of those 12 Fate models in front of the Dwarves. Those guys are an absolute road stop, so should be able to hold my Dwarves off for quite a while. They also cause terror, which would usually mean that my Dwarves struggle to charge them because I'm courage 4 down to courage 3 because of the Witch King, but the Shield Bearer allows me to re-roll any failed courage tests. And Geordie's Spiders climbed up on the roof of Durak Deep there. It's funny, we got to keep taking these roofs off so we can't forget him. And the Castellans are just pushing forwards. Young Dwalin hits like a truck and he's fearless, so I'm sending him straight in, and I reckon I can put a lot of damage onto one of those dark-powered Castellans straight away. And Thrain is just pushing up. Now he and his Grimhammers are quite a ways away from the core of Geordie's army, and I want Thrain to be getting into combat and either putting a couple wounds on a Castellan every turn or killing 2 or 3 orcs a turn. And this is what we're looking like after the movement phase. There's a big choke point with lots of strong evil models in the front and some fighting in the Great Hall. Let's go into combats. Neither of us have called any heroics, so let's see how these fights go. And the fight started with young Dwalin putting a couple wounds onto a Castellan, but the Castellan just burnt through 3 will points to stay alive. And then in the other fight, my Dwarf King managed to win the fight, but didn't do any extra damage to that Castellan. Now, after my Dwarf King, it was my Shield Bearer's turn to fight. This Shield Bearer is super fragile. He's only got 2 wounds, no fate, and he lost his fight, but was just pushed back. And that was actually all the fights in there. My Dwarves didn't get a chance to go in because Geordie moved second. So that takes us in to turn 4, where priority this time went to Geordie. Now, I wasn't very clever with young Dwalin in here. I was a bit brash and I rushed in maybe a bit quicker than I should have because Geordie's actually able to wrap around him and get a trap on him in there. And then on this side, Geordie sent 1 orc to charge Thrain. That's super annoying because it means that Thrain isn't going to be moving forwards 5 inches. So he's traded 1 orc for delaying Thrain for a turn, which is absolutely worth it because Thrain can kill easily 2 or 3 orcs a turn. And surprisingly, Geordie pulled his main force back, going into the Great Hall of Durak Deep, turning this into a siege. And in Geordie's move, this warg ran up here and then tried to leap down, fell, and unfortunately did die. I think that's the first casualty of the game, so not an impressive one. Alright, the king is going to charge this Castellan. Yep.
Easy.
So because I have the range advantage, I didn't need to charge into Geordie here. What I could have done is sat back and shot him with my handful of archers, but his defense is so high that I wouldn't really do much damage, and Dwalin's in there and he needs to be rescued because he's trapped at the moment. Now, Thrain is going to have to call a heroic combat to push forward, so his lads have jumped in. And this is where we're at after the movement. So Geordie's pulling his whole army into the Great Hall. It's going to turn into a bit of a siege here. But there's going to be a lot of fighting. I've got some shooting though. These archers are going to go after Fimbul's warg. And they took all their shots, but unfortunately, Fimbul is still on his warg. So that's going to go into the combat phase. Geordie, do you have any heroics to declare?
Not this phase, I don't believe.
So I do. I've got a heroic combat for free with the Shield Bearer. Now, because he's within 3 inches of the king and the king's in combat, I get a free heroic combat. Hopefully I can kill the Witch King because he's only got 1 wound. At the start of the combat phase, I've declared a heroic strike with Dwalin because he is trapped in there. So the Shield Bearer used his free heroic combat against the Witch King of Dol Guldur and killed him, but this Witch King comes back to life each turn on the roll of a 3-up, and then the Shield Bearer charged into the same combat to help out the King, and hopefully we can do some serious damage. Thrain used his heroic combat, killed that Orc, and is just running straight towards the fight. Now next was the roll for Dwalin's combat, and it's not looking good for me. He only starts with 2 might, and I just got a 3 high. This was Geordie's rolls to wound, and that's seriously bad for me. Young Dwalin just went down from full stat. He does a lot of damage, and this is not a good start for the Dwarves. I really needed to be more careful in there. I wasn't expecting to be able to be trapped, and I certainly wasn't expecting that many attacks to be coming in at me. And the next fight didn't go well either. The King and the Shield Bearer lost their fight, and the Shield Bearer took a wound even though they had higher fight. And at the start of the next turn, priority has gone to the Dwarves, but the Witch King can do his Unholy Resurrection because he's in the Dark Powers of Dol Guldur list, which he has successfully passed. So he is able to place anywhere within 6 inches of his death token. Geordie, where's he going to go?
It's very cheeky, and I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to just place him in front of Thrain to really block that dude off.
Just try to slow him down. All right. And that's going to go into my priority. Did you want to call any heroics?
Yeah, I'll call with Fimble.
Cool.
So I've decided to get Fimble in. Once we've charged, we're able to block Thrain's gap, so he won't be able to heroic combat to any good advantage this turn. So I think it's worthwhile getting stuck in.
The Ringwraiths of Dol Guldur are such a technical unit. They only got 1 wound, but each time they die, they can come back to life on a 3-up and be placed anywhere within 6 inches of where they died, which, as you can see, Geordie used here to tie up Thrain. It makes them one of the most mobile units in the game. And with Geordie's move, he's actually just running out and trying to wrap around my guys as much as possible. Now, this does leave him exposed. I'll be able to get some traps on him, but his guys are so durable and have such a high fight that he might be able to get away with it for this turn. And he's tied up my King just with a regular Orc, so I'm expecting more guys to be rushing in behind there to catch any heroic combats. My secret target is Fimble the Hunter, and he is in combat, so I want to do everything I can to get to him, because if I can kill Fimble the Hunter, I'll be off to a great start. And I also need to keep my King alive, so I definitely don't want him to get exposed too badly. He is fight 6, which is really, really helpful in this game because most of Geordie's guys are fight 5, but I've still got to be really careful. Now, inside the building, I was able to move because I have priority, so these guys of Geordie's hadn't moved yet. So here we are at the end of the movement phase. Geordie's Spider did shoot, trying to paralyze the banner, but did miss, hitting on a 6. So into the combat phase, because I have priority, I'm able to split off the combats how I like. So the Shield Bearer and the Banner are going to fight this Castellan and call a free heroic combat, while this Grimhammer is going to fight that horde of guys. And that's all my heroics. Geordie hasn't called anything, so let's get into it. Here we go, Shield Bearer.
Oh yeah, I was like, you win. I'll take Banner. You do win though. Sweet.
No, that's on the Banner.
Oh, we're tied then.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, we're tied
so
for now.
Banner reroll for the Shield Bearer.
Oh, sick, we're tied.
It's drawn. Sorry. 1, 2, 3 goes to you. 4, 5, 6 goes to me. Goes to me.
Nice one.
3 wounds. Oh, yeah, because they're D6. Yes, okay, good.
Oh, he's the wounded one. Fuck.
Oh, good. So that's 3 going. 2
no.
more going.
Yeah, he's gone.
2 more going. Wow,
Lol.
great. And taken down, he failed a lot of his will points as fate, so he's been vanquished. Well, that was great. I wasn't expecting my Shield Bearer to be able to do that, and with his heroic combat, he can go in and help the King out. Now, Thrain unsurprisingly killed the Witch King of Dol Guldur again, but he'll come back. And then inside the building, some of Geordie's guys managed to get some nasty kills on me. And then the Grimhammer actually managed to win his fight, even though he was super trapped in there. And then this super trapped Castellan, which I really wanted to kill, won his fight and pushed me back. Unluckily, Fimble won his fight and managed to kill both my Grimhammers. And that's the end of the turn. Fimble clearing out 2 Grimhammers definitely hurt. Let's roll for priority. I'm on a 6.
Whoa.
You're on a 1. All right, so now you do your Unholy Resurrection. Does the Witch King come back? Let's see a 1 here.
Cheeky 3, easy.
He comes back. All right. Where are you going to place him?
We're going to still cheeky block Thrain, I reckon.
All right.
So I reckon somewhere like that.
Yep, cool. Geordie made the right choice here because Thrain would have run in and hopefully killed Fimble if he wasn't in the way. So priority went to me. Geordie, what have you done?
I'm calling a heroic with Fimble, who gets more or less everyone again.
All right, and I'm going to counter with the Shield Bearer's 1 point of might because he's wounded, so I need to spend it, and now's a good time anyway. So let's see the roll off. I've got it on a 4, 5, 6 goes to me.
Give me 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3 goes to you. Hey, 6. Come on.
Nice one.
So the shield bearer moves first because it was his heroic move, and he just goes into the orc, and then all of my dwarves are charging in. Now all the Castellans cause terror. My Khazad Guard have bodyguard, which means that while the king's alive, they auto pass all of their courage checks, but the Grimhammers just have courage 4, and the Witch King gives them a -1 courage. Luckily, my shield bearer allows them to reroll failed, so they get in pretty reliably, but not all of them manage to get in. And Thrain here ends up going into a Castellan. He can do a lot of damage, and I hope with him that I can kill some of these Castellans. The Dwarf King also managed to trap a Castellan in there, so I'm in a really good position this turn to maybe take out 2 of them. That would be a massive, massive benefit and a big swing to my favor, and hopefully compensate for me losing Dwalin early on. And with my movement done, that went to Geordie's heroic with Fimbul, and Fimbul was just trying to get out of there. I think that Geordie's probably a bit clued into Fimbul being the easiest to kill, so most likely my choice for my assassination target. He just ran down and jumped over a fence, and then with the rest of the movement, he's just shimmying his guys around, and he sent a warg inside the mine shaft. So if this is his building, I'm in trouble, but I couldn't do anything about it because he's so fast. So this is our board after the movement. Now I'm going to have one Dwarf Archer able to go up into this spider, and then this Dwarf Archer and this Grimhammer into Fimbul. So hopefully this goes well. So our shooting managed to take a fate off Fimbul, which was nice. So the spider going after the king, hitting on a 6, but missed. So that's going to take us into the combat phase. Now I'm going to call a free heroic combat with my shield bearer because he's within 3 inches of the king. Geordie, are you going to call anything?
No, I don't believe so.
And it started off with my shield bearer winning his fight, pushing his opponent back, but unfortunately failing to kill him. It would have been nice because it would have got me a free extra combat, but not this time. And Thrain won that fight, did 2 wounds, and it cost that Castellan 5 wills. So he's only got 3 left, so I'm getting pretty close to killing that one. These Castellans are an absolute tar pit. They're so difficult to take down. And this one, even though I had the higher fight and a ton of attacks, won the fight against the Dwarf King. I definitely would have killed it if I had got it. Then the Witch King of Dol Guldur pushed a guy back and another Khazad Guard was slain. I'm taking too many casualties here at the moment, but those Castellans are slowly being more and more worn down. They're all getting lower and lower on will each turn, so hopefully they can all start to die, but they are super tough. Inside the Great Hall, Geordie's basically kicking me out here. And at the start of the next turn, priority went to Geordie. We both rolled 6s. I've called the heroic move with the king, and he's countered with Fimbul's last point of might. Here's the roll off. 1, 2, 3 goes evil.
Yeah, give me one.
Evil. Well, I got the last few of those, so I can't be too upset, but it is frustrating that the Witch King of Dol Guldur has once again charged into Thrain. Thrain's definitely going to kill him, but he's probably going to come back to life, so Geordie has basically blunted Thrain once again. And then his Castellans are just getting into combat, and these orcs are fighting where they can. He's putting orcs into the Dwarf King, which makes sense because the Dwarf King's fight 6, which means he's great at matching up with the fight 5 Castellans, but he's way higher than the orcs anyway, so instead of killing a Castellan, he can just fight an orc, and that's a good result for Geordie. In the Great Hall, there's more charges going on. There's only 2 Khazad Guard left in there. So this is where we've gotten to after all of the movement. Now I have 2 archers that are going to shoot at Fimbul, and everything else is engaged. It's going to be a tricky combat phase in here. But with a free hero combat, if that goes off from the shield bearer, I think I'm actually pretty happy. It's not looking likely though with those Castellans being tough. And my 2 archers did successfully put a wound onto Fimbul. So he's got 1 wound, no fate left. So he's pretty close to dead. If I can get a couple more shots at him like that, we're looking pretty good. So the shield bearer, one is fairly wounded. Put 2 wounds on to this Castellan. So now it has to do some fate. Let's see it. So there's 2 will gone.
This is
3 will gone.
This is 4.
4 will gone.
Come on, lad.
5 will gone. Is he dead?
No, that doesn't pop him.
Now that was a great effort from the shield bearer, but unfortunately at the end of that turn, that Castellan's going to be alive with 1 will point left. That means that if he fights 1 more combat, he will die because of the will of evil. But Geordie's going to try to run him away, so if I can get movement first next turn, I'm definitely charging into him because I can finally kill one of these Castellans. They're so tough. And then around the rest of the battlefield, the fights were raging. And at the end of that turn, I am unfortunately broken, and this is a random game length, so it could end any time from here. But priority went to me. Geordie decided to call a heroic move with the Witch King. I called one with Thrain. Let's see the roll-off. 6 goes to good. We have done well with those so far. Thrain has passed his stand fast, and it impacts every dwarf on the battlefield, including dwarf heroes. So we are all good with courage. And with Thrain's heroic, he is going to multi-charge the Witch King and this Castellan, and he's not going to call with me. So that means that Geordie's heroic move is cancelled, so now it can be my regular move, and I'm going to be able to peel the Witch King off, or maybe even just leave him there, while Thrain can hopefully kill another Castellan. And in my move, it was nice to get the move off, but the luck of the dwarves isn't going well. The shield bearer just failed his courage test, despite having great courage and rerollable. He rolled a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2, which really stuffs up my plan here, which is a little bit sad, because what he was going to do was come into this spot here, and then a dwarf was going to be able to go and tag this Castellan, who would then die at the end of the turn. Now that Castellan still might go in and die at the end of the turn, but that shield bearer is not going to be fighting in an ideal fight, and Geordie's probably just going to avoid him, to be honest. And with the rest of my moves, I need to get as many attacks onto a single Castellan as possible. There's no point doing 1 wound to all of them, and then only taking a few fate. I'd rather do 10 wounds to one of them and just clear it out and finally kill it. And it's important that I get my banner in a convenient location, so I just move the dwarf behind him into a better spot and put him back here. Now, I'm really afraid of that spider charging me, so I still want to keep him safe, but this way I've got priority. I'll be able to keep it safe regardless. Now, very importantly, I need to get my terrain piece. That's why I charge my army forward, and I've got these 2 dwarf archers that are in the back of the field, and they're running directly towards the house that I have chosen. Now, in Geordie's movement, he's obviously counter-charged using Fimble, and he's going to go in with another Warg to tie them up. If they can win a fight and I get priority next turn, they can get there. And here we are after the movement phase. Fimble and a friend have come around to take on my archers, and there's just lots of fighting in there. This spider spat his venom down at my banner bearer, but missed, so he hasn't got a hit with the spider yet, which is great. That's going to go into the combat phase. Geordie, do you have any heroics to declare?
No, unless you call something.
I'm not going to call anything, so let's just get fighting. And this one went to plan. The Castellan lost his fight, and I managed to do a bunch of wounds. So at the end of the turn, he will die because of the Will of Evil, so I only just killed him. Managed to take down a few orcs and push back some other models. So overall, it was going pretty well for me. Thrain put a bunch of wounds onto that Castellan, and it used a bunch of them as fate, leaving it on just 1 will point, which means the Will of Evil is going to come get it. And here we are at the end of that turn. So, Geordie, I believe we have some Castellans that are going to die finally because of the Will of Evil. End of the turn, they lose a point of will. So that's 2 down, which is really nice. So I managed to do a lot with those 3 warriors. And, well, let's see it. I've got priority. I'll do the roll on a 1 or 2. It's all over. It's not. So we're going to keep going. Well, let's see the priority roll then. I'm on the 4. You're on the 6. I decided I'd spend my last point of might to try to get a heroic move here, and Geordie countered it. It went to a roll-off, and it went in Geordie's favor. So Geordie won it, and he charged with the Witch King into Thrain, who I called mine with. That means that my heroic move was cancelled, so he didn't need to call with me, and it just went into his regular move, where he's just engaging my models.
And we're going to try and turn this banner off for a turn. Charging.
So charging him with the spider, seeing if you can paralyze me.
Spit that sweet venom. Oh, fuck me.
No, you can't. So he hasn't paralyzed anyone yet. So the banner's fighting that spider.
One day.
So this warrior is going to charge into that spider because he had good courage, and he is going to charge into this Castellan, so the shield bearer is a bit safer for this turn. Starting with this archer, he's good.
Good to go.
So this archer, now that he's passed his courage test, is just going to run down to here. Next turn, he'll be able to get into that building. So this warrior is going to charge into that spider because he had good courage, and he is going to charge into this Castellan, so the shield bearer is a bit safer for this turn. And that takes us into the combat phase where Geordie started off by killing my banner with Fimble. I had terrible odds of winning that fight, but if I had, it would have been a hilarious way to kill Fimble and kill my target. But obviously, the odds were very against me there. Now my shield bearer did well, pushing back and doing more wounds to a Castellan, but not enough to kill it. And then Geordie killed another dwarf warrior. So I'm running out of models here, and I'm still putting damage on those Castellans, but they still have a few will points. Most of them are down to 4 or 5 will points left when they started with 12. And Thrain has once again won against the Witch King and vanquished him, but he's probably coming back. So end of turn. There's not that many dwarves left, but a lot of those Castellans are slowly getting closer and closer to dead, and if I just keep wearing them down, eventually I have to get there, right? All right, but the game could be over. Geordie, is it a 1 or 2?
1 or 2?
No, so we're going to keep going. So I'm still in this. I've still got a chance. You're a ways off breaking, but if I can break you, all of your objective guys have terrible courage, so I'm actually feeling pretty happy about that. All right, let's do the priority. And that's your chance. Are you going to call a heroic move? I'm out of might.
I will call the move.
Cool. Does that mean you're out of might as well?
Mightless board, baby.
Nice. All right, that goes to you. Where's he going to go? And you can see this is where the Witch King came back to life, and this was his last point of might. So if I can vanquish him one more time and he gets a 1 or 2, he'll finally be dead. And Geordie went into my shield bearer, which has me concerned that that's his target. He did kill Dwalin early on, and if that was his assassination target, I'm in trouble. But if it's the shield bearer, there's still a chance I could survive. Now I really want to kill Fimble, and he's still in combat, which is good because he's only got 1 wound. And if I can go and get my objective, I'll be in a great position. Geordie's spider finally hit, and we put that dice down to signal that that Khazar guard has been paralyzed, which means he's probably going to get killed by that spider. And the rest of the Castellans are just going in. Now Geordie is still 5 or 6 models away from break, but as I said earlier, if I can get him there, he's going to lose his models that are holding the objective, which could massively swing this in my favor. It's not too far off at the moment. I think this is pretty close, but Geordie's definitely got the edge on me at the moment. Now, lots of people are engaged, but I've got 2 unengaged dwarves. I'm going to start with this guy. He's got to pass his courage check. It's not good, but he can re-roll it because of the shield bearer. And he's passed 6 and a 4. So he can decide who he wants to fight. Now, I'm probably going to need to do another terror check here. But what he's going to do is just peel this orc off. So it's just that Khazad fighting Fimble by himself. Now, really important one is this archer. He's passed his courage test. Now, Geordie, can you just push him 5 inches towards that building?
Wow.
Actually, just gets in there. Perfect. All right. Well, that will go into combat. So starting off the turn, I've got my Dwarven Shield Bearer calling a free heroic combat. How much damage can I do here? I hope it's a lot, but not too confident. I'm on the 6.
Fucking does it too.
Come on. You're not on the 6. So I have won it.
Oh, banner, but then you're about doing it. Not even.
Let's see your banner.
Let's
see your banner.
Even. Oy.
Oh my god. That is a classic, absolute classic banner. But we're both by 5. So I still could win this. It's your priority, so you've got the roll off.
I wish it was my priority.
Oh, all right. Yes, because you called it heroic. So 4, 5, 6. Let's see it.
Please.
Nice. Mate, shield bearer, man of the match. For a little 60-point hero, that shield bearer is doing really well. Unfortunately, in the next fight, my Dwarf King lost the fight and he took a wound and failed his fate. He was my target to defend, so that means I've lost some points, and if he was Geordie's target to kill, he's got some points. Not good. And last fight of the turn, we have Fimble the Hunter fighting my Khazad guard.
Whoa.
I've set the bar on a 6.
Shit. Hey,
you've also got a 6, but you're fight 5. All right, now can you kill him? You need a 6.
I didn't need 6s. We got a good crack at it. Hey.
And you get him. And this is the end of the turn. On the roll of a 1 or 2, it's game. No,
no.
The game will continue. All right, this is going to be interesting. Let's roll priority.
Big priority roll.
I'm on a 4, you're on a 2, goes to me. All right, do you have any might left?
No, we're cooked.
Mightless board. All right, perfect. That's a big deal for me because Thrain's Battlefield Bide Stand Fast is going to go off now. So I'll do that courage test for Thrain. Yeah, he's a happy Thrain. So Thrain is going to charge into Fimble, and hopefully we can finish him off. This is absolutely massive. Thrain's 3 fight 6 attacks that get +1 to wound should be able to do that final wound on him, but he is out of might, so anything could happen. And finally, my Dwarf King and Shield Bearer are just engaging, trying to hold back the hordes of evil spirits. So this archer auto-passed his stand fast because Thrain is Battlefield Wide, and he's sitting in that building all by himself. Now, it's great that I've definitely got some points on the board there. Geordie's just trying to finish off these heroes, and this happens quite often when I'm losing games with dwarves, that I still have all of my heroes hanging around. Obviously, I don't have young Dwalin, but, you know, I've got the rest of them, the good ones. And Geordie's just engaged them as much as he can. So in this turn, I could call a free hero combat with the Shield Bearer, but he's not going to kill everyone, so he's not going to, because that could lead to the King getting trapped. So let's start with the King, fighting a lot of your guys. If I set the bar on a 6, though, that's the banner reroll, and you need a 6. No, it's always the banner reroll though. It's always the banner reroll. It's not this time though. All right, now I need to decide who I'm gonna try to kill. So one of them, if I'm not mistaken, is dead at the end of this turn because he's out of will, correct?
Yep, Will of Eviled.
All right, how many will does this guy have left?
I believe he's got 4 left.
4 left. Okay, so he'll lose 1, so he'll have 3 left at the end of the turn.
Oh, sorry. 4 at the end.
4 at the end. Okay, so I'll put my strikes on him. Let's see what happens. Nothing. That's okay. So he's just pushed back, but he still loses a will point this turn, and that's a good result for me. So the Shield Bearer just won his fight and got 2 6s to wound. So we've knocked down the Witch King again. So he's just turning into a token. And hopefully he can fail. And then that's putting wounds onto that Castellan. How many fate points can I take off?
Ooh.
There's 1.
Throw.
Come on, keep going. Okay, so it was just 2. So that Castellan's still alive at the end of the turn, but man, Shield Bearer is absolutely killing it. And this is a huge fight. It's Thrain fighting Fimble and 2 orcs. You want to set the bar, Geordie?
No, I don't want to. 6.
It's a 6. I need a 6 here.
Whey!
No. Okay, that's all right. Everything else in the turn was good. It can't all be good.
Yeah, fucking small
Now,
victories.
can you actually do anything to me? You need 6s all around.
6s all around. Poison on these ones.
There's 1 6.
Ooh.
2 6s, of course. Now, I believe Thrain's taken a wound before. So I'll use 2 fate.
Failable.
And I pass 1, I fail 1, so I'll stay alive with 1 wound and 1 fate left. This could be the end of the game though. On the roll of a 1 or 2, it's all over. I've got priority. And that's game. No, so I haven't quite gotten there in the end. I think that's going to be a win to you, Geordie. All right, so that is the end of the game. So we need to talk about what our objectives were. Now, I had called the well house as my train piece to capture, so I'll get 3 points for that. What was your train piece?
I wanted the smithy.
The smithy.
And,
oh, there's a warg inside there. Okay, so that's 3 points each there. Now, who did you want to kill?
I want to kill the king.
You want to kill the king.
Fearless and turn off your freaking shield bearer.
So you did a wound to the king, so you get 1 point for that. Now, I wanted to protect the king, and he's still alive, but he is wounded, so I'll get 1 point for that as well. So it's 4 all at the moment. Now, next, I wanted to kill Fimble the Hunter,
Yeah,
and I had a big chance at him. Big chance last turn, but it didn't go off. But he is wounded, so I'll get 1 point for that.
Yep.
So it's 5 to 4. Now, who did you want to keep alive?
I just pick a random one, basically, and I picked Face, who is this guy.
That guy there. So obviously unwounded because they only have 1 wound, so you'll get 3 points for that. And then it's just down to I'm broken, you're not broken.
Not broken.
Wow, what a game. So that might not have seemed like it, but it was actually really close in the end. If Thrain had killed Fimble and an orc, and the Witch King, which would have been dead at the end of the game, that would have given me the break on Geordie and actually swung things a long way. But it doesn't always happen like that. I felt like I was behind the whole game and couldn't quite pull it back in the end. This has been Conquest Creations, and please go and check out the Kingdom of Durak Deep on Kickstarter. It's digital STL files of all of the terrain that you can 3D print yourself at home.